One of the most anticipated titles of all time, Cyberpunk 2077, was released to international outrage after it was discovered that the developers had put basically no time and effort into equipping the game for last-gen consoles. CD Projekt Red, the developers behind the acclaimed Witcher series, hyped the game up as being a game changer in the RPG field. And when it came out looking like this, and like this, and like this,
Militech won't notice a thing.
Are you trying to insult me, Bobby?
gamers felt betrayed and lied to. The real problem here is that the game is literally not finished. I mean, if you took a game maybe 90% through development and just decided you were going to release it right then and there, that's what this game is. That's what Cyberpunk 2077 is. But bugs aside, I want to take a look at this game and really try to make a judgment about its quality. Because sometimes gamers look at something and decide whether it's good or bad without actually giving it a real chance. So a lot of people probably took a look at this thing on last-gen consoles, saw all these ridiculous bugs, and decided it was a terrible game, right? If you look at the PC reviews as opposed to the last-gen console reviews, you're gonna see this huge discrepancy. You really have to take these things with a grain of salt and make your own decision about whether this thing is good or not. And the first thing you need to look at when deciding if a game is good is the... In almost every case, a game is not good unless its writing is good. Period. So is this game's story good? I mean, it basically is. It's an intriguing concept. Your mind gets invaded by the psyche of a dead terrorist and you have to find a way to get him out of your head or you'll die. That's at least more interesting than Skyrim's story.
Never should have come here.
When it comes to the story of this game, the big problem is that it doesn't grab you immediately. You're walking around this big city, talking to a bunch of people you don't know like you're supposed to know them, listening to people talk about all this stuff that you're supposed to know what it is, but you have no idea. It just doesn't really make the player want to engage that much. Act 1 basically just serves to introduce you to the characters in the world, but the real meat of the story starts in Act 2, where we're introduced to Keanu's character. A big problem here is that Keanu basically feels like a douche and there's nothing keeping you invested in his character at all. He is one of the least compelling characters at first. He is so annoying. Every time he talks, I hate it.
Do whatever it takes to stop him, defeat him, gut him. If I gotta kill, I'll kill. If I need your body, I'll fucking take it.
By the way, I think his character has a real name that's not just Keanu, but I never cared. I also didn't really like my own character. And this is going back to a point that people always talk about. When your main character that you're supposed to be playing has their own voice, it really takes you out of what's going on in the story and feeling like you can create an internal narrative for your character. This becomes kind of an issue given that the two characters that you're exposed to most throughout the game are your own character and Keanu's character. If you're not responding to the characters, it makes you not want to engage in the story. If we're being honest, one of the big problems with this game is that the story does not get good until like 10 to 15 hours in. That's when you meet the best character in this game and one of the better characters in recent RPG history. Pan Am, aka Desert Best Girl. This is what brings me to... Side quests are easily the best part of this game. I spent the first many hours of this game just kind of rolling my eyes, going through the motions. Keanu came in, I would be like, shut up. Mindlessly moving forward through the story. I didn't start playing out of enjoyment until I started perusing the side quests. It's amazing. They really saved the best characters for the side quests. You got Basement Girlfriend, you got Desert Girlfriend, you got this well-meaning mayoral candidate and his wife fighting the corrupt system. You got Pirate Cop, you got this thing. You got Misty, whose haircut is fine and regular and I have nothing to say about it. Even Keanu gets some side quest action, and it really helps his character develop. All these characters are the best part of the game. They're cool and their stories are interesting, and whenever I get a call from one, I would feel like this cool, mysterious, noir PI, where they would call me up needing something and I would be on the case. And even though Keanu starts off as the most insufferable piece of shit, he actually really starts to grow on you at the end. I think maybe... Is Keanu Reeves a good actor? I'm not sure. I think maybe he is, because by the end of this game, I was like, okay, I get it. He's consistent. You hate him for all time, and then he's just there enough that you're like, all right, yeah, I get it. But anyway, as I was saying, side quests are where the game really shines. I urge you, if you are not getting the full experience out of this game, if you're sitting with this game and feeling like it could be better, you could be enjoying yourself more, I urge you to play the side quest. That's where you're gonna find the most enjoyment from this game. The final issue with this game, one of the big problems that people had, was the ending. This is the thing that really boils my biscuits. Up to the ending, this game basically gives you 3 storylines that all connect and balance in one way or another, and they all connect to the heart of what's going on, right? So you got this one storyline about this corporation, you got the storyline with Keanu, and you got some of the side quest tie-ins with Desert Best Girl. But the big, nasty, slimy flaw of this ending is that it asks you to pick which of these storylines you want to follow through on, while the others just kind of hang in the air unresolved, which is not good writing, right? If you're writing an ending, you want to tie up everything in a nice little bow. You can't just leave stuff hanging. I played 2 out of the 3 endings, and every time I played one, I was waiting for there to be closure on those other little threads that were hanging. There's one character who plays a super important role in the entire thing, and then he's just gone. Where'd he go? I don't know. The first ending I did was cool, but it was entirely based around Keanu's story arc. And I really liked that because by the end I was pretty invested in his story arc, but then it doesn't develop anything else. It doesn't develop anything having to do with any of the corporations. It doesn't develop the desert people or their bullshit. The second ending I did was more based around the desert people and their bullshit, but Keanu was barely there. He just kind of went away for the whole thing, and that sucked too because he starts to grow on you by the end. You want to see both of these storylines combined and then a little nod to maybe the corporation, but instead they decided to separate these out. I think it's a huge problem in the writing. If the writers had taken all 3 of these ongoing storylines and smooshed them together, things would have felt much more satisfying. Feels like this odd creative choice to turn the ending into a choose-your-own-adventure when the rest of the game is not like that. What else? Not much to say about the gameplay. It's super bland, vanilla ice cream. The driving is horrendous. I'm not bad at it, you're bad at it, shut up. The double jump mechanic is cool, but it's almost like the game doesn't want you using it because there's nowhere to go and the game does everything it can to make higher up territory completely impossible to navigate. I would have liked a third person. That's just me, but I know that complaint has come up too. Overall, it's a pretty alright game though. I mean, you have to be patient getting into it. You have to give it about 10 to 15 hours before you actually get anything back from it. You have to kind of engage in the world enough that the main story is fed into by the peripheral story arcs and you get to know the characters. Once you get to that point, for all its flaws, it's actually a pretty rewarding experience. I'm gonna say all that plus Desert Waifu and the Noir Detective quest put this thing at like a 7 out of 10 for me. Yes, definitely a 7 out of 10. Bye.